with that, let's jump into the agenda that we have for today. I'll be altering this picture, by the way, that's on the screen. I'll be altering that as we go, but just wanted to share that a couple of weeks in a row. I just think that's a really cool, reminds me of being of my younger days. Let's put it that way. All right, just a little bit of update on the product. There is nothing, I can't say that enough. There's nothing you can't do without the updates. The product is fully functional. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. Nothing's broke. Now, there are some things that are missing. For example, the grouping tool is not functional yet, nor is the ability to zoom in on your design. There's a couple of things that you can do with that. You can make your screen a little bit bigger. There's some other things that you can do, but you cannot zoom in on the design as of right now. So those are the only two things that are not fully functional on the platform. The updates will include things that will be added, not things that are fixing things that are broke, because it is fully functional, works exactly as it's supposed to. People who are expecting it to work exactly like it used to are going to be disappointed. But people who understand that there has been a change made, and that may mean that there's some things that you have to learn, you'll be incredibly successful, and you'll be happy with the updates and the place where we are right now with the product. The next thing is that you can make it webinar replays will be available now from this point on. We're going to skip over all of those things when there was when we first made the transition. Those will all go away. Those are not going to be, those replays will never be posted anywhere. So don't ask for them. But from this point forward, I posted last week's, and we will do the same thing this week. It's a really good question about the 3D. I like that question. And is it possible to make a view in 3D of the cover book, a kind of a mock-up? Actually, I talked about this a while back. The preview mode, our previews were grossly outdated, and so they will be upgraded soon. That's the next on the agenda after the font upgrade. So that should be coming soon. Paul may be able to address that, but adding those new previews, and that's where you would find the 3D of a cover book, would be in the preview section, which is not functional at this point in time. That's something that was badly in need of an upgrade, and so that is one of the upgrades or updates that you'll be seeing very soon. Okay. All right, but that's a great question, and I really like that. You do have the ability to download your image. Make sure that if you're going to put it somewhere else, make sure that you have that image in the size that the someplace else requires. I say it a million times. Every webinar, begin with the end in mind. When I know what size I need to make my cover for a 3D cover creator, or to be able to display in someplace else, then I need to know exactly what size that needs to be, not the size that it's going to be inside of Usign. Okay? But great question, something that we address frequently. Number 3, the webinars are an interactive learning experience. One of the struggles that I have making the replays available is that I make this, and I'm the only person who uses this phrase, the interactive learning experience, because everything we do here is live. All of my demonstrations are all live. Oftentimes those demonstrations are in response to your questions. I've had people who've argued that that's not a good approach to take. Listen, you'll have to talk to somebody else about that. This is the way that I prefer to do this, and I believe that it is the best way to make the best experience for the people who take the hour and dedicate that once a Friday. I believe that you who've made a commitment to be here have earned a reward, and that reward is that I give you an interactive learning experience where I respond to your questions as they are presented. And if you have an issue and I can address it in the time that we have available, I will address that issue live in the time that we have available. But I just believe that that's a reward. And so I make it what I call, and I'm the only person I know that uses this, is an interactive learning experience. I termed that phrase a few years ago, and I keep it for my webinars. I just think it's the best way to do that. I've never liked webinar replays because those can be altered and doctored, and I never liked using screenshots rather than live demonstrations of the product. And so I just felt like it was time for us to give a real experience. We're going to do this every week. Only platform I know of where we do this every week. And doing it every week gives you an opportunity to be a part of the learning experience. Okay, so that's the reason why we do that. Number 4, a feedback system is coming soon for the webinars. Don't know when that's going to happen. Don't know exactly what that's going to look like, but that will be coming. I have no idea what this link was for. I think that was for registering for last week's webinar, and I meant to delete that. I just forgot it. So please ignore this link right here. I think it was to register for last week's sessions that took place right after this webinar. Okay, thank you, Kathy. I appreciate that. Last week I did an additional multiple hours of webinars last week on other platforms, and I've decided there's just going to be one thing that's going to stand out about me. My webinars are going to be interactive learning experiences, and I've done somewhere close to between 900 and 1,000 webinars now, and I've settled on a platform that a process that I like and that works well for me. The next thing I want you to see is, this is an amazing post by Emma. I don't know if she's on today, but this was just really, really good. She missed last week, grabbed the webinar, and listened to the webinar. That's why I thought we just need to start making the webinars available. And if something changes and a look changes, I'll just make sure that everybody understands that. If they're not paying attention, that'll have to be on them. But Emma took my NASA pictures and created this. I thought this was just awesome. I don't know how many of you saw this, but this is just really good. There's 2 things that Emma did here, and I want to point those out. One was that she took and did use the background removal tool. She used the blend tool, and she used 3 different images and created this, and it is spectacular. I thought she really did a great job. The other thing that she did, I'm going to show you that in just a second, okay? This is another post by Elle, who did a second logo. Last week we took one logo for EK Media. This week we're looking at Skin Talks with Elle. This is a beautiful look. That is just a stunning logo. Would you all agree with that? That's a stunning logo. And she went to the trouble to describe the exact process that she used to do that, as did Emma. And I think that that's pretty beneficial to everybody. Emma even put a clock on how long it took her to create that design. And it was literally a matter of minutes. She listened to the webinar in double time, which I thought was kind of interesting, because I always think I talk too fast anyhow. But she did a really, really good job. And then Elle was able to get her gold look that she's been asking for forever. Great use of 3D here, the kind of a shadow with that. I'm not always a fan of that because it makes it difficult for me to see. I have some vision issues with that, but this one looks really good. So great job, Emma, or Elle. I really appreciate you sharing that with us. I thought that was pretty cool. They're in the group. They're in the Usign. That's why I always put up here Usigners update, because they came from the Usigners group. Okay. And then Emma did something. I'm going to show you what it was. I want you to see this. I had said last week, you need to do the thing. And Emma turned it into a hashtag on her post, which I thought was great. Do the thing. That's just simply, and I say it all the time, what you need to do is immediately put into practice the things that we talk about on the webinar. If you immediately put them into practice, it's amazing what you'll be able to do. By immediately putting them into practice, you can see right here, you can see what the results are. But Emma, right here, you'll notice right there it is, right there is the little hashtag do the thing, which I thought was really cool. Thank you, Emma. I appreciate that. That was pretty cool. All right. Any questions so far? Thank you for the comments. I think that both of those are great examples of doing the thing by both of those designers. Now, I never got to this last week, so I'm going to try to get to it today. It's going to take the second share instead of the first. I want to come back to what we talked about last week, and that was the magic design components, the 4 things that have to be in a design to make it work, and that is the background, the logo, the tagline, and the product. And last week we used that with a t-shirt. This week we're going to do it with a little bit different design. I'm going to talk about beginning with the end in mind, and I will address that from this magic design components. We've used several different titles for this, but it's always the same thing. This was a real eye-opener for our founder Bertram when he discovered just how important this was. I created several webinars around that. We did several just webinars focused exclusively to this process right here. He did 1 or 2. And I just thought it was really, really good. And it's something that we need to be reminded of now that we have many more capabilities than we had when we developed the original webinars with this magic design components. We talk about background, logo, tagline, and product. Very, very important pieces of the puzzle. So that brings me to this, and I've tagged this with begin with the end in mind. Something that I have said over and over and over and over again. I like to use this kind of a design right here for my courses. For my online courses, I use that to as a quick, easy I've kind of used that to create a brand look, if you will. That when you see that image is going to be an Eric course, someone. Okay, does that make sense? That's how important that is, that branding piece becomes important. Everybody following with me? And I'm going to talk about beginning with the end in mind, and we'll do that when we get to the canvas in just a little bit. And I've got 3 brands on here on purpose, and you'll see why in just a second. Okay, and then I do want to mention this very briefly. And that is, we're going to be using, actually, one of the people who was on this webinar this morning, Larry, and I are going to be working on a project where we're actually going to use t-shirts at an event. And using the t-shirts as an event, we talked about that in the webinar. We're actually going to take that, use it at an event, and you'll see how important that is. And we'll be able to give you updates on how that goes. Does that sound pretty cool? Not only did we take this in theory, but we're actually going to take it to the street, and we're going to use it. And then we'll be able to report back to you how that works. Y'all like that idea? Give you a second to respond here. Because I don't like to just talk in theory. I try to put these things to work. And that's the reason why we're going to address this morning about beginning with the end in mind. Okay? All right, with that, we're going to move from the agenda for today. And we're going to, Cheryl, good to see you this morning. Cheryl says she's new, so welcome. Very good to have you on. And we're going to move from here to the canvas, and let's take a look at that, okay? So this is all the pieces that I put together to create this, okay? And I'm going to take these pieces apart. We're going to talk about them. And I'm actually going to begin from scratch here to show you. As you can see, this is all the pieces separately. This is the result. All right. Now, keep this in mind. I want to explain something. This is very, very, if the only thing I have is this, and I don't have an old template of this, how easy would it be for me to modify this and make something else out of it? How easy would it be for me to change this part right here? Yes, being left-handed does help. I've actually created this with the purpose of saying, okay, I could easily modify this. I have 3 different logos down here. I could do this. This is how easy this is to do. And this is the reason why you always begin with your end in mind, and you never let things frustrate you, because it won't do you any, number one, it won't do you any good to get frustrated, because actually there's not a lot of people who are going to care if you're frustrated or not. So now I have just done what? See how easy that was to change? Easy to modify, right? Say, well, what about the other logo? How hard was that? All I did was I created a mask. We talk about masking a lot, and masking makes this really easy to do. So, Eric, that's grossly simple. Yes, I know. And there's a reason why I like simple, because it makes it easy to do stuff like this. Okay. What about that? Yes, there's not any reason to, because what am I going to do with it next? I'm going to download it. When I download it, I don't have to lock anything. You're exactly right, James. James, by the way, but you're exactly right. If I'm going to download it, it isn't going to make any difference. I also now have this as my course template. 2 things I can do. All right, these 2 masks right here. I'm going to show you how to create it in a minute. But these 2 masks right here, and I can add a new logo on top of that black mask that I added right here. Or I could do the same thing up here. I can block out this. Make it the same color. This is one of the reasons why you always keep those colors simple and basic. Now I can add a new title on top of that. Right? Exactly, Johnny. Now I have a way to A/B test. I have a way to do all kinds of stuff. The other thing is I'm never, ever, ever down. I'm never waiting. Oh, I can't get access to my temp. I can't do this. I'm never down. I've created a system that works. And it's really important to create a system that works. And if I need to, the other thing I can do the other thing that I can do is this. I can remove the background now from my original image. It's going to show my original image, not the mask. Create your files so that they remain usable, okay? We're going to keep all the stuff in here. This came out, this is trying to find stuff because of the other things over there. And we'll just do this. We'll get rid of all this stuff right here. Make sure we've got all of that out of the way. And now I want to remove everything on this side. Because I've saved it as an image. Because I saved it as an image, I've got the ability to do this. If I had not saved it as an image, only as a template, I can't really modify this. Make sure I got that out of the way. Now, call that done. I got a little bump up there at the top of this one. Right there. And when that happens, you just simply do that. All right. Makes sense. That's why it's called a mask. Now, this area right here, go to my background, make that transparent, grab an appropriate image over here. When people tell me that they can't do something, I just assume that that's because they're too lazy to find a solution. You say, Eric, that sounds really hard. I know, it does. Take this, watch what I can do here. I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to fiddle with it just a little bit because sometimes fiddling with it makes a difference. All right, now watch what I'm going to do. I want you to pay very careful attention to this. I'm going to move that layer up to the top. So it's still covering up my courses right here. And this section right here is an easy fix. I'll move that off of transparent and I put it on as black. Now I can adjust this wherever I want it. Makes sense? Keep your designs so that they're easy for you to work with. And your life will be a lot less frustrating. Now I have this canvas over here that I can work from. Gemma, you're exactly right. And I remember the conversation that we had at one time, Gemma, about doing this very thing here. So you knew where I was going to go with this. But I bring it up a lot because it doesn't have to be complicated. It can be really, really simple to do. And then I just simply make the changes. Now, this was inspired by our designer here, Elle. She's done an amazing job using gold, and I thought gold was kind of cool to add. So I'm going to show you how I created the original, because I spent a little bit of time doing the original. Yes, that's a great question, Larry. I was about to address that. I spent a little bit of time on this. This took a little bit of time. Now I'm going to show you how fast it is once you've done that, okay? Thank you, Pete. I really appreciate that quote. This is the original project in all of its pieces, okay? Now, I've actually taken this, and I'm going to show you how I created that. I'm going to get rid of the pieces of the puzzle here. I'm going to start from a blank canvas. We'll just delete all of these. This is where the group tool would be helpful. But hey, how much time did it take me to do that? Less than 10 seconds, so we're all good. Now, I'm going to change the background for this because I want to make things easy to see. So I'm going to change my background color. I don't like to work on a white background. Y'all know that. So I'm going to change it to this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create that. If I'm going to upload here, can you all see this over here? I'm going to create this little piece right here. That wiggly gold line in the middle. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do this, and I'm going to rotate this bad boy. I'm not going to make this exactly like the last one was. I wish we could snap that. We can't. So I don't, instead of getting frustrated because I can't snap it, I just line it up at the back. How hard was that? Now, watch what I'm going to do with this. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger because I'm going to make this so it looks a little different than the other one did. Make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to make it black. And now I'm going to add a couple of things, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create the line that goes down through this. So let's pull that together. Pull this down. I'm going to save that for just a second because there's one step that is easier if I do it now. I'll make this triangle a little bit smaller, like this. And then I'm going to flip it on its side. I'm going to line it up so that it matches. Like that. I'm going to make it white. Y'all with me? Now I'm going to take this line. I'm going to do this. I'm going to line it up with the side over here while it's a different color. And I'm really close. To make that just a little bit more right here. And there's a reason why I'm doing this, because I need to make it exactly the same size. And when they're different colors, it's easy to catch the contrast. You see that? Are these steps helpful to you? Now, I'm going to make this line go like this. We'll put this over here. Like that. I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to line it up down here. Y'all following me? Make these colors match. Do you see where I'm going? All right. How difficult was that to do? On a level of 1 to 10, 10 being impossible, 1 being simple, how difficult was it? Now, the next thing that I want to do is I'm going to take this background now and I'm going to make it so that it is white. I need it to be white in this case. And there we are. All right. Now I'm going to go over to the integrations and I'm going to find an integration that's going to be gold. Now, the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to use the blend tool in this case because I want that line to be this color right here. Multiply is not the trick, it's the screen. See that? Now I have this, all right? But I need to get rid of this section right here. So I grab another graphic. Could have eliminated this at another step, but I'm taking you through every possible step here so you can see what you have to do to achieve this. Another mask. Move that over. And see, when you move that around, you can change that background right there. Move that over like that. Right there. Make that mask the same color here as everything else. You got it? Now I'm going to download this because I need it to be a single image, not all of those layers. Now I'm going to upload the image I just downloaded. And you'll have the steps for this now in the replay. But now this is the image, okay? This is the image right here. I'm going to make the image transparent. How hard was that? You with me? Get the transparent image out of the way. And we'll just start removing these pieces because I'm not going to use a new, I'm not going to start all over again. I want to just simply, you can see the layers that were involved. I could have made that a single piece. I made it two just to show you how you could do that if you wanted to do something else. James, very good. The downloading and reloading is the best trick that you can pull, okay? It seriously is. Now, I can easily take this background and do that. Now I've got this section over here. And the problem that I have, though, is I have this little triangle right here is transparent from the back side. Does that make sense to everybody? So now we're going to do as James said. And because if I lay an image on here, once you understand all of the steps that are involved over here, if I lay an image over here, let me grab a different image over here. This is where I got that from a minute ago. But if I take this image and I try to move it behind this transparency, what's going to happen, and I can do that, but watch what happens when I do it. This shows through. So to solve that problem, whoops. To solve that problem, I'm going to save it with the black background. And again, I want to decide, I don't want this to be right down the middle, and it's not, even if it's right here, I don't want it to be right down the middle. But I want to give myself some flexibility with this space over here. So now I'm going to download this, and I can download it as a JPEG file. This is exactly the same steps that we used to create the video overlay. I could make the triangle with the shape and make it black, but I wanted to see all of the steps that would be involved in it. Okay, so now I have this. Let me get rid of the stuff that's behind it. Okay, I've just got this on a black background. I'm going to change that background to a different color so you'll see the impact of this when it happens. We'll make this that color background. I'm going to upload the file that I just downloaded so you can see the difference. All right, you got that? So this is my image, this is my original. I'm going to remove the background from the image. And I want to keep the black section over here. Now this is going to find the layers and it's going to try to do them by layers, okay? And that should do it. Paul, the only reason why I did it as a JPEG is because I'm completely unconcerned about this. This image is going to be 340 pixels. I created on a 1200 pixels. Not too concerned about it. If I was going to make it bigger, I would have done that. But I know where I know what my end's going to be. All right, y'all see that? How cool is that? Now I can do anything I want to with this background over here. I can change the background. Oh, got that? Now I have a fully functional image, right? I can add anything I want to this section over here, add any text, logo, anything I want to add over here, and then save it as an image. Now I have something that I can use later. I can replicate. I can do exactly the same thing, but I've got something that is incredibly powerful now that I did not have before. And instead, before, what I was doing is putting all the pieces together. Now I've got a single image. I'm functioning with a single image. And this is the single image right here that's set up for a text style over here, set up for an image over here. If I wanted to, which I probably will, if I wanted to, let's make that background black. And we'll delete the image that was the original background image that was there. Now, if I wanted to make that like this and do my online courses thing that I just said a bit ago, I can move this a little further over here so it gives me more real estate over here for my text. I'll go back to my laptop image over here, grab this, make this just a little bit bigger so it fits. Am I the only person that's curious as what's in that glass right there? Is that called design lubricant? Now, all I have to do here is move this image to the back. And I have lots of area over here that I can play with, and so on. I can adjust my overlay. I'm not married to a single design this way. Now I can add all of these other things I had added before. That's why I asked if anybody was curious what was in that glass, because it becomes the focal point at this time. Good catch, Larry. I was trying to avoid making that real obvious, but it was. Okay, can you all do that? That's my question. Do you all see how to do that? I'm not going to have to recreate this same process right here with the gold in it ever again. I do it one time and you're done. Save it as an image. You have it over here in your image library. Look at this. This is over here in my image library. I got things I can do with this stuff now. Ah, crud. Sorry. I clicked on the export of the image instead of the imported onto the canvas part of the image. Now I've got a background. I've got a logo. And it's very easy to add a tagline. My E is not typing these days, so I don't know if it's me or if it's my E on my keyboard. Make that a little bit bigger so it's obvious. Squeeze that together. I do that, make that a little smaller. Make that like that. Make my box smaller so I keep all my stuff clean and neat. Change that. All right, any questions? Was that easy enough to do? All right, let's go back over here. Let's talk about modifying this image using the same steps that we just used. Exactly the same skills. You only have to have a couple of skills. You have to have a great imagination. Understand? And this window interferes with my use, to me, it interferes with my use of this image. One thing I could do is just completely crop it out. The other thing that I could do is I can mask it. You will be amazed how many times you'll use a mask. You're only limited by what you can imagine. Make that mask a little bit taller here. And now, what I want to do is I want to make it kind of the same color as the sill. Everybody with me? Select that. Select my color picker. click on the pen. I have people all the time who are pinging me say the color picker doesn't work. Yeah, it does. You just have to click on the pen. Go up here, make that the color of the windowsill. Paul, do you want to address that while I finish giving the instructions on this? Now, I've got two triangles. You see the triangles right here? I have two triangles. I have to deal with those two triangles. And I want to make the triangles so they're kind of the shape that they're supposed to be, or thereabouts. Turn this like that. Slide it up into place. I was pretty close. Leave the parts of the sill that you want to have remain, like that. Y'all with me? I'm going to make a second one. I'm just going to duplicate this one. They're not going to be an exact duplicate, but I'm going to duplicate it. And then I'm going to modify it. See how close we come here. They're almost close enough. Now we're going to make these both the same color as this big pane right here. Now I'm going to show you what to do with this so that it doesn't look like it's been blacked out, because I don't want it to be blacked out. We're going to make that color. We'll use the same color picker process just so you can see it in action. Select color picker process. All right, I've blacked that out. I can actually just leave it blacked out like this, but what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to reduce the opacity of it. Now I've made this so that it's not just that funky window is not just jumping out in your face. That is correct, Joy. I was just going to have Paul answer that. That is a correct statement. See how we've modified the image now? Because before, this busyness right here was going to distract from what I wanted to do in the middle of this. Image modification. Easy way to take that image, make it look like something else. Very easy way to do that. Any questions about that? We're down to just a couple of minutes left. I'll show you one more thing that we can do while we're here. All I need is the donkey in the window. You're exactly right. I did a whole series of blog posts where what we did was put the title of the blog post right here and would change the background image. And then down over here, we put, I'll grab one and show you. Over here, we grab the logo and we stuck a logo in the lower corner over here, like this. This, I made this the color, a brand color for the we're just going to do it like this. And I can add text to the top of this. All right. Don't want a paragraph text, Eric. You want the subheading text. That'll be easier to handle. So this was the title. Make my box smaller. And this is my title. And so the title was always the same color. That bar across the top was always the same color. All we did was change the text in the title, and sometimes we would change the background. And I created this same kind of look for 27 blog posts one day in about 5 minutes. So that made it really easy to do that. Now, Rico's asked a really interesting question. Do we have time for a fast text modifier with the blend tool since we have replays now? Yes, we do. So let me show you. I'm going to make this white. All right. We'll make that background white. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back over here and grab a graphic that I can use. I'll use gold one more time. Make this a lot smaller. That's a good question, Mike. On a good day, 5. On a bad day, 3. There's at least 5. Does that make sense, Rico? Was that easy enough? Sanitas are all over the place. The answer is yes, it does. Because if I change the background of this, like this, see how my gold panel shows up? Bo, that's good, because this is a huge solution. Exactly. You can actually create your title like this in an image by itself or in a project by itself, and then remove the background from it. Inspired by L. That's what we're going to say for today. But yeah, in that case, you just want to take this, save this as an image, remove the background, and then you could use this in anything you wanted to. Any questions before we wrap up? This has been a great little trip down, remembering, always begin with the end in mind. If you begin with the end in mind, then you design pretty much one time, and then everything else fits into place with that. Recordings are always made available in the group. Thank you all for joining us. And like I said, the reason why we do these interactive webinars is to give you a reward for being here. You are what makes this work as well as it does. I totally agree, Michael. This is not the same tool it used to be. It's so much better. It isn't even funny. All right, with that, we're going to sign out, folks. Thank you for joining us. See you next week on Friday.